All right, everyone, we should be live. Let's make sure that's actually the case over on Rumble. Of course, I see people waiting and clanking in the chat going on. Greg Schultz, Clank, good morning. JMonty0071 says, morning, Clankers. GLV Save 31, clankers. And then Russ Henneman says, clank as well. So, yeah, lots of clanking going on over there. Got our first super chat, the bonus holes. Pence won the debate. Biden-Pence 2024. Muga, make the uniparty great again. Change my mind on X at the bonus holes. No comment, not my concern, 2024. Muga. Yeah, we'll be talking about the GOP debate, or what passes for a proper debate anyway, and the counterbalance with Trump going on Tucker Carlson, starting that pre-recorded stream 5 minutes before the GOP debate began. Trump's plan did work. It was wise to do what he did. He succeeded. Although it would have been more monumental to simply make a tweet of him coming down the escalator, yeah, this is a close second. It's as good as you get. Now, today we're on mugshot watch, actually. Later on, Trump is expected to turn himself in Fulton County. He will have a mugshot. I suspect that things are already in the works to print it out on T-shirts, mugs, hats, and flags, and so forth, and it'll be a big star-studded affair. So the day of the debate's overshadowed by Trump and Carlson, and then the day after the debate, when people are hyper-analyzing it, especially the DeSantis fans, Jesus Christ, then the day after, it's overshadowed by Trump's mugshot. It's going to gobble up the internet once it's publicly released. We've also, speaking of the debate, got to talk about Ron DeSantis' inability to smile. This has been memed up, and it's kind of funny. It's very amusing. Also, Jen Psaki over on Twitter telling a huge fib about abortion and various other things that we will talk about, of course. There's lots of good shit going on today in the news cycle. Doc Holliday, Sticks, is it true that Chris Christie depleted all the donut shops in the greater Milwaukee area of donuts and chocolate milk? Very possibly, and the man's appetite is notorious. Yeah, I see that finally the Rumble live stream pushed through there without me having to reload the page. Anyway, let's give my thoughts on the debate. I already gave them this morning, but I'll recap for people that didn't watch that video. It was predictable, and this is why Trump's appearance on Tucker Carlson dwarfs it in terms of the actual attention given. The GOP debate was exactly as I expected. Ron DeSantis didn't make any major gaffes, but he also didn't particularly stand out, which is anathema to him getting ahead, because simply being sort of the mean, median, and mode candidate as far as coherence and policy clearly hasn't been working so well for him. He needed a knock it out of the park moment in order to rise back up. Otherwise, he really does risk falling into the single digits. Once you fall into that level, the odds of you rising back up are infinitesimally small. Chris Christie went attack dog mode. Who could have predicted that? And by the way, link in the description. You should definitely, I posted this earlier. There were a couple of stills here from the debate night that I thought were fucking hilarious. One was Ron DeSantis looking like a zombie. The other one is Chris Christie bent over getting like in a selfie that someone's taking, and he's being underlit by blue light, and it makes him look like a phosphorescent demon of some sort. And I thought this is funny. Yes, I'm posting my own tweet there as the actual main news story of the day. Just look at these pictures, and if you haven't seen them, prepare to have a good chuckle. Make sure that you're not drinking any liquids when you open that link. So DeSantis did okay. He didn't do poorly. It's just there was no knock it out of the park moment, really. And I see a lot of astroturfing by Fox News and by Christie's core fan base to the effect that he did knock it out of the park. I mean, you must be watching a different debate than me. He seemed generally to be on the boring side. He didn't have any major verbal fumble. He didn't have a Mike Pence moment, but he didn't. The standard for him is higher because he was the heir apparent against Trump. When you're playing at that level, if you want to stay at that level, you have to really bring the game. You can't just be third place candidate on stage with a bunch of people who mostly are also Rands. Ramaswamy, depending on who you ask, either destroyed his political career or did a stellar job, which is why you know that it's highly politically charged as far as that commentary goes. I look at Ramaswamy and his performance, especially against Christie. I'll get to that in a moment. And I say he did a pretty good job. Of the people on the debate stage, as far as actual eloquence, Ramaswamy ran away with it. Some people are saying Nikki Haley won the night, which I find to be the most incredible, hilarious cope. Yes, the person who stood up on stage and most vociferously denied the concept of stopping the proxy war in Ukraine and keeping our money at home so we can build a border wall or do something else that conservatives typically would pine for. She's somehow the sane person on stage. No, she was just reasonably well spoken again, and she represents that uniparty mentality better than like an Asa Hutchinson. Then you've got Chris Christie. Chris Christie went bulldog mode. He attempted to destroy Ramaswamy by comparing him to ChatGPT. Now, I am not entirely unamenable, as I pointed out in my morning video, to the fact that Ramaswamy often uses canned sloganeering and that it's very formulaic and that it's really more about the politics than any underlying ideological bent. I actually agree with Chris Christie on this. The problem, Chris Christie didn't come prepared. Ramaswamy did. Ramaswamy probably in debate prep was already warned that because he was the one that was surging up towards second place, Christie was going to lay into him. What better way to do that than to try to evoke 2016 with a Marco Robato moment? It's basically the same exact reference. Chris Christie recycled his same attack line from 2016, upgraded it to reflect AI effectively, and attempted to launch it at Ramaswamy, who very quickly talked about grievance politics and said effectively, well, your point about grievance politics would be more believable if you weren't engaging in grievance politics against one man. Complete deflection. Ramaswamy blocked the hit, which, by the way, if Chris Christie has one attribute that we can appraise positively, it's the fact that he gets hyper aggressive in debates, is therefore funny sometimes, and generally does a pretty good job at debating. I would rank Christie as number 4 in the pack. I would say Ramaswamy did the best. Nikki Haley, ironically, does technically take second. DeSantis third, and then Christie. Nobody else really registers. Nobody cares. Tim Scott, meanwhile, was almost a no-show. He didn't really say that much because he doesn't want to engage in the back and forth between other candidates. He's going for the I'm the nice guy sort of unify the party message. You can't do that on a debate stage, Tim. It didn't work. Your fellow contemporary Nikki Haley is now probably going to leapfrog ahead of you in South Carolina for second place, bumping DeSantis to third in the process. DeSantis, I don't think, loses any support from this, but I don't think he gains any. And that's really the problem because he's been slowly ebbing away and losing support anyway. So that trajectory, I think, will remain continuous. Christie, probably the same thing. Ramaswamy might gain support or he might lose it. Again, the massive overdose of partisanship in how his performance is being analyzed means that some people, when they read the news, if they didn't watch the debate in full, they think that Ramaswamy sucks. The ChatGPT candidate is literally trending among the DeSantis supporters right now, which is funny because they're taking that from Chris Christie, not from Ron DeSantis. Well, if it works so well, why didn't Ron think up that attack line? It's inexplicable. By the way, it didn't even work. And then some people read the news or listen to commentary and they'll say, well, he did a great job. And so now I support Ramaswamy. Of course, I'm Team Trump. The real winner of the debate is Donald Trump and Tucker Carlson, the possible VP, by the way. At this point, I would say it's not entirely unlikely that Trump has him on a list of considerations for running mate. I don't know if Tucker Carlson would even accept, but he's probably been, at least his name's been thrown around. Donald Trump goes on Tucker, contemporary to the debate itself. He cock blocks the debate. Tucker Carlson cock blocks Fox News and their coverage because they're hosting. And it's just hilarious. If you look at the Twitter feed for that alone, and it's, of course, has been piggybacked, replicated, reacted to live, etc., by untold millions and millions of people viewing those replications. Just the core Twitter feed itself has tens of millions of views. Now, on Twitter, a view and a watch are not the same thing. This is true. It doesn't mean that for every view, somebody watched it all the way through. But there were enough contemporary live viewers and there are enough people who are watching it afterwards that it dwarfs anything that Fox News, CNN, etc. in their coverage has achieved. Therefore, Donald Trump really was the winner of the debate. And that's what he wanted. What he wanted is to simply outshine them, let them beat on each other, especially Ramaswamy, knowing full well that in the absence of Trump, he's going to be the one that mainly gets hit, and he defends fairly well against it, which is to his credit. Defending against Chris Christie in a debate, other people have had a problem with that before. Just look at Marco Rubio if you don't believe me. But Trump won. He drained the energy out of the room by, number one, not being there, number two, competing with the event. So millions of people that would have watched the GOP debate didn't. And secondly, it shows the GOP for the dysfunction that it tends to be in the absence of someone like Donald Trump or a Rand Paul or a Massey or something, someone who's sane and intelligent. It devolves into a shitfest of people proclaiming, number one, I love Israel more than every other person on this stage. Number two, I want to send more money to Ukraine than anyone else on this stage. Number three, I hate abortion more than anyone else on this stage. And that's it. Oh, and also, hey, here are my thoughts on Trump in brief, sweating nervously as they deliver them on loyalty pledges and things like that. By the way, Pence had the shittiest, and DeSantis to an extent, had the craziest moment of the night when the candidates were asked, would you take a loyalty pledge? Will you support Trump if he's the nominee? 4 of them immediately raised their hands. 2 of them looked around the room before raising theirs, and those were DeSantis and Mike Pence. As far as Mike Pence, he had the worst night because considering his hemorrhaging of support of the people that have a political pulse at all, he needed to win even more than DeSantis. Well, he didn't achieve that. Instead, he just got lambasted, so he's done. There is no reason for Mike Pence to even be in the running at this point. In fact, at this point, for the second place finisher shuffle, which is basically what this going through the motions bullshit debate was anyway, really, there are only a few people that should even bother staying in. Ramaswamy and DeSantis, of course, as well, at this point, almost tied. They've got enough of a political pulse they can make it. Ramaswamy, I think Mark Christie will stay in because he viscerally hates Trump and just wants to be there. And Nikki Haley. None of the others should be in. Tim Scott should partner with Nikki Haley in order to go gung-ho for South Carolina and endorse her if he wants a political future. Otherwise, he's going to have to suck Trump off when he wins. There's almost no chance that any of these people are capable of operating in the same capacity that Trump does. Facing 4 indictments, constantly shuttling around from state to state while maintaining his campaign schedule and having monetary issues to some extent because of legal problems, Donald Trump is still way out ahead of any of these people by a long sea mile. Nothing has stopped him. And at this point, I don't think that anything can. Let's see. Saltness Monster. Chris Christie crushed everyone on stage. Yeah, physically. It looks like he's about to jump on this other dude. That could be a problem. The Landlord Harassment Channel. The Republicans. We need less government in our lives. Also the Republicans. We need to lock up shoplifters along with child molesters. Well, I think that punitive action should be taken against shoplifters. I don't think that they should be in prison unless they're doing it constantly. I would do community service, restitution, things like that. I've talked about my idea of criminal justice reform before. President Irina Vladimirovna Putina. As much as I'm an avid follower of Dagoff, and the 6th House, I've got to give Vivek due credit. Thoughts on Vivek being VP 24 and 2832 president? Unlikely, especially the latter, but possible. You could do worse, but there are also better options. Sebastian Monroe. So you got a Mercedes? Great choice, mein Freund. Mine is 25 years old with 218,000 miles. Thankfully, you can curb repair expenses with Germany nearby. Yeah, some people were talking about the expensive parts, but you got to realize I'm like 5 minutes from the German border right now. It's a little bit different than importing them to the United States. Parlock 480. I'll have to disagree with you on your video from yesterday. Partisan Democrat voters who still support Biden are idiots. Yeah, but the fact is that they're doing it only for partisan reasons. I think some of them do so reluctantly, so I give them a little bit of a pass. Doubt Shadow. Sticks, I DM'd you to a Twitter poll link. Toronto star dogpiling Jordan Peterson. Clank on their poll. Let's fuck with the MSM. I think I already RT'd that one. Sebastian Monroe. Notice Fox going with Democracy 24 messaging? Yeah, a subtle hint about who they actually support and do not support, yes. Radine Scorza, why do you think Trump avoids the culture war? I don't think he avoids it at all. In fact, I think liberals would tell you that he's the main protagonist of the culture wars. He's attacking democracy. He's sucking up to Putin. Beagle Cake. Vivek won the debate in my opinion. Lots of passion. Saw Meatball Ron with more character, but one of the more scripted of the bunch, it seemed. Yeah, that's his problem. Ron DeSantis doesn't have as much personal charisma as some of the others that were on stage, and certainly not than Trump. Wasted Bonehead. Good morning from the grave. Our resident zombie has arisen. Speaking of Ron DeSantis, by the way, the next news story, mainly just for shits and giggles here, I want you to watch that little video clip too. It's only 6 seconds, so it won't break the bank as far as your daylight time goes. Ron DeSantis was making a point here, and then he tried to smile after making the point. And instead, it looked sort of like someone had shoved like a hot dog in his ass or something, and he like kind of enjoyed it but was confused or something like that. It was really weird, and he's done this before. There's something about his facial expression sort of thing, like his mind is trying to make him smile or frown or whatever, and it doesn't quite sink in, and the message doesn't get through like in time or fully, and it's kind of messed up. And so he makes like weird faces. He's sort of like Greta Thunberg, I suppose, as if she were a Republican. I guess that would be an apt comparison. There's just it's a little bit like Uncanny Valley for emotional displays, I suppose you could say. And I found this funny. It's not really newsworthy, but it's humorous, so I decided to throw it in anyway. Pertinent to the debate, again, Ron DeSantis didn't do poorly. He comes off sometimes the wrong way. There were times when he was challenged, he couldn't fully meet the challenge, but he didn't have a Mike Pence moment. We will say that in full admission. It doesn't cripple his campaign. It's just that his campaign is slowly hemorrhaging support anyway over the course of many months. It's gone from 31 points, I think, in the aggregate, which is pretty good. It was within striking distance of Trump for a while. And now it's at 14. What more can you possibly say? There's no reason at this point for him to have any real belief that he's going to win the nomination. At this point, since he's probably precluded from being running mate, I'm assuming that he's doing this mainly out of pride more than anything else. You got to be looking at, I mean, either that or the people surrounding him are telling him how great he is, patting him on his back and lying to him flat out because, they're making money off of his campaign. Campaign advisors and pollsters and shit like that. You can't possibly believe that that this guy has any chance. And I seen like Anomaly, I think, didn't he rage quit the other day off making videos for a while or something like that? Somebody sent me a link there. He's a big time DeSantis fan. He's got severe TDS. We've debated the topic before. In fact, he blocked me on Twitter because of this. I dared to disagree with him. He doesn't like that. And I think, didn't he kind of rage quit actually from making videos for a while? I didn't watch the full video because I don't want to watch him rant for half an hour, but wasn't that the basic gist of it? Mojo Hansen, Pence and DeSantis are toast as Shapiro cries, lol. Yeah, I mean, he didn't do so poorly that he doesn't collapse to the single digits overnight or something like that, like Mike Pence did before. Mike Pence was actually in a reasonable position until his not my concern comments, you'll remember. I think that he remains in, although there's no point to it really. Vivek remains in. There's no point to him dropping out. Again, some people think that he destroyed his career and some people think that he was great. I don't think that he was necessarily a great debater, but he was definitely better than anyone else on stage. Haley did fine. I disagree completely with her views, but it ticks the marks for certain kinds of voters within the GOP. And other than that, I mean, you've got what else have you got? Christie will stay in just out of pure bloated spite, and there's nobody else as an also-ran who has any pulse politically. What the hell is the point? Even people like Larry Eller got screwed off stage. Why does he even bother remaining in? There's no point to the candidacy. There's no possibility of him gaining traction. Burgum, nobody cares. Tim Scott has some support, but again, he was outclassed by Haley, and they hail from the same, pun intended, hail from the same starting state. And so, I mean, the writing's on the wall for most of these people. Daniel, happy my paper on how acquired traits, obesity, stress, etc. are epigenetically inherited was accepted to the Journal of Physiology. Thoughts on this? That's very interesting. I mean, send me the abstract on a Twitter DM or something. I'd love to read it. Ozzy's Robots, 0 notification from YouTube about your live stream. Many such cases. I am algorithmically throttled on the site. BW. I lost what respect I had left for Desantis when he said the vice president did the right thing. Yeah, there was a little bit of a circle jerk over Mike Pence and how he saved our democracy and loves the republic and stupid shit like that, which he elicited from them. He got some people to really get egg on their face, I suppose. The Grizzly 617. What are the odds we get a totally solo, nonpartisan actor assassination attempt from the Uniparty, JFK, Lee Harvey Oswald style? If so, what would be the fallout? It's possible, although not likely. It's the good part. It's always a possibility, even for unipartists. You know, someone goes crazy and takes a shot. That's a possibility exists. Somebody tried to throw a frag grenade at George W. once. Nothing screams uniparty more than George W., but somebody still psychotically tried to kill the man. Unfortunately, didn't apparently know you had to pull the pin on the grenade before throwing it. Anyway, I would say if that did happen, it would cause some significant unrest. There'd be a lot of social alienation. It'd be a little bit too on the nose, and most of the population would assume that it was not a solo partisan actor. They would assume that there was deep state involvement, and they could be right. The man behind the screen. Good morning, Sticks and fellow clankers. It's a prolific month for me. Got a new short story on my Tales of Calamity and Triumph Substack called The Thief and the Minister. Look it up and give it a read. Next news story. This is a whopper. We've got a 5 Pinocchio moment from Jen Psaki, of course, formerly the White House spokeswoman under Biden before they managed to find somebody even more mentally damaged than her to fill the role. She was the circle back around lady who habitually wore green dresses, so she looked like that one girl from Charlie Brown. I can't remember if it was Peppermint Patty, or I think it was Peppermint Patty, the one that bullied Charlie Brown a lot, and not by yanking a football away from him. To basically tell him to his face how stupid he is mostly and in his decision making in life. Poor Charlie Brown. He never did get to fuck the little red-haired girl, now did he? Here's what she said. No one supports abortion up until birth. That's very interesting because there are 7 states in the United States where abortion is legal up until birth. In a couple of those, it's only for medical circumstances. Which, you know, if the mother's going to die on the slab, possibly killing the baby in the process, you're kind of making a lesser of two evils decision, I suppose. Yeah, there are actually people, Jen, and we've got quotes from some of them who do support abortion up until birth. Many members of your own party have said effectively nothing against the states that are legalizing. For instance, my home state. In the state of Vermont, there is no medical exception necessary. Abortion is effectively unregulated in the state. You can go in at 8 months when the baby is completely viable. It's no longer a fetus at that point. It is perfectly viable outside of the womb. It has a great shot at surviving outside of the womb. It's almost fully formed. You can get an abortion. You'll probably be warned medically it's not a good idea to get an abortion, and it would be better to use a cesarean section, and then if you don't want the kid, you give them up for adoption, but it is legally feasible to do so. The main problem would be finding a doctor willing to actually perform the procedure at 8 months, considering the risk involved and also the ethical topic that's involved with that too. The state wouldn't stand in your way. This is the case in several other states, including DC as well, I would point out. And I think Puerto Rico, Colorado, although I think there it's only after 5 months for medical purposes, so the woman's going to die otherwise. I can't remember the other states. I think Washington State is one of them. I don't have the full list. But the fact is that this is completely wrong. Yes, there are people who support abortion up to birth. There are even people who suggest that abortion should be retroactive post-birth. Most of them are trolling you, in full admission. And I say this as someone who is pro-choice. I don't believe in third trimester abortions. I would put the limit at 14 weeks or something like every European country does, with exceptions beyond that for if a woman's life is in danger. I think that's a reasonable standard. The states have to handle it, though. If a state wants to ban abortion, at the moment, there's no legal recourse. If a state wants partial birth abortion, as Vermont and a few other states, again, there's no recourse really to be had. I disagree with both. I think that there is an actual middle road. And I would point out that the GOP have been hypocrites on this issue by and large, by initially campaigning on it being a states' rights issue, and then the second row ends, they try to turn it into a federal issue. You're being like Democrats when you do that. Although I also have to point out The Democrats are the ones that pushed the issue in the first place. It was because of their own legislation attempting to allow limitless abortion that Roe was even queried in the first place, hence leading in a Supreme Court that leans slightly conservative to the end of Roe v. Wade. It was basically Ralph Northam's fault more than anyone else. The Democrats went way overstretching, and they lost on the issue. Virginia, they got torn apart there for a reason. Youngkin is looking forward to 28. We'll be talking about that in a minute because the Democrats fucked up. They might lose in 28 because Youngkin comes and says, I told you so, ah, ha, 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 and happens to be from a competitive state, actually. And I think there's a good chance that actually happens. I think that Youngkin right now is the top of the list for the main contender for 28 for the Republican Party. But, I mean, it's objectively true that some people, in fact, Jen Psaki, I think, promoted a bill at one point that legalized abortion effectively up and through 9 months. I think. I remember something about that. It may not have been Jen Psaki, but I'm 99% sure that I'm not talking out of the side of my mouth right now. President Irina Vladimirovna Putin. You really should give Morrowind a try, Sticks. It's a great game. Also, what kind of shout outs are we allowed to request? If it won't get me banned from YouTube, I'm willing to do any shout out. I don't care if you hawk a product. I think I have to click that it contains paid promotion technically. Although I'm not sure if that account extends to super chats. I'll look into that actually. But yeah, I'll pitch a book. I'll pitch your channel. Pay me enough, I'll pitch anything basically. I'm a capitalist. I believe in such things. Mojo Hansen. Shapiro's conspiracy is that the media want Trump to win the nomination because they think he will be easier for Biden to beat than DeSantis. Bullshit. Yeah, well, he's frequently wrong on things, so. NPC. Where can I find Sticks Clanker cups for my daily coffee habit? I believe that mugs will be available fairly soon. Not at the moment, though. If you find any Sticks merch that I'm not talking about on my own channel, like the merch link with regards to the bookmarks and stuff, it's not official. It's somebody took the Ouroboros, slapped it on a Teespring or something like that. Mopey Hornet, hey Sticks, with Starfield having background choice of being a cook, breeding plants, and joining a libertarian faction, will you give the game a chance? Well, that does being in a libertarian faction. Okay, you've pitched me the possibility that I try Starfield. Crossover Maniac, what medical emergency would make a partial birth abortion necessary and it can't be solved with a C-section? Depends on where that arbitrary legality cutoff is. I mean, if it's at 10 weeks, a 13-week-old fetus is not viable outside of the womb. Cesarean would be unnecessary under such auspices. High Leaf 11, with what happens in Hawaii and the low amount of money the people got, do you think there are some people that would like to stop sending money to Ukraine due to the different treatment? That is a big thing right now. I would point out that FEMA can only disperse $700 maximum per person for now. There is legislation pending to dispense far more. But we don't need to send money to Ukraine at all at this point. We've sent over $100 billion worth of goods. What are we even doing at this point? BW, I think Dems are going to get someone else to run. That's always a possibility that they swap Biden out at the last minute. I mean, it's not impossible. Mega C Monkey, good morning, Sticks. I just listened to Leviathan's debut, and I'm slowly getting back into black metal. Any recommendations? Cult Clank. Yeah, all of it. It's kind of hard to find black metal that's not good unless it's like poser black metal or something like that. Try Nargaroth out. They're pretty good. I like Marduk. Leviathan is great. You know, listen to Tentacles of Horror from What Fresh Hell. That song slaps, straight bussin'. Let's see. Aussie's Robots. By the way, I found today's live stream on X where I saw they nerfed Tucker trending after 400,000 mentions. Musk honking now too. I don't know exactly what's up with that one, but it was mildly suspicious enough for me to post about it. The bonus hole. Sticks, you should reproduce more. You can use your kids as free sweatshop labor to make merch for clankers to buy. Yeah, like a good Chinese family. Parlac 480, I fear that Democrats will win 24. It's too rigged. Well, they're hoping that you're afraid so that you'll get demoralized. Let's see. Sigilstone 17. With the assassination of Pringles Gozer in Russia, we at least now know that the March on Moscow is real and Russia is a paper bear. I don't know that we know that. It's typical Russian politics. I mean, it was so predictable, I didn't even bother to predict it publicly. I think everyone knew what was likely to happen to Prigozhin. Wasted Bonehead. Sticks, could I get a shout out in your Bernie voice? I am once again asking you for a shout out. Okay, we have a shout out for Wasted Bonehead, the resident zombie. Sigilstone. Sticks will pitch a book, pitch a channel, pitch a tent, all on live stream. It ain't gay. $2 is $2. Yeah, I mean, it's all good. I get money. Other people get, more subscribers, more book sales or something. It multiplies their impact because there's thousands of people watching. I like it. Zigzag, do you think GTA 5 was designed to display common corporate corruption to young people for awareness, red pilling? I don't think I've played GTA 5 actually. I don't know. I think I got a copy of it. I tried to play it at one point and I couldn't get it to work. Like it wouldn't install or something. I'm just like, fuck it, basically. So I returned the game. President Irina Vladimirovna Putina. Alrighty, if anyone plays Hearts of Iron 4, check out my Azur Lane and Gajinka mod. Interesting. Next news story, we've got a grift alert through ESG. Wind-powered cargo ship sets sail in a move to make shipping greener. But then you find out that this wind-powered ship, they've been around a while. Yeah, they were actually invented thousands of years ago. Number one, it's not entirely wind-powered. It can only use the gigantic metallic sails that it has under certain weather conditions. And so you're reducing the amount of power to move the ship by some margin, a little bit. I've got a question to ask. The metal that was used to create the metallic sails, so to speak, they're actually like cylinders that fold open to latch onto the air. Was the metal was the ore for the metal extracted using wind power or solar or something comparable? When you put it through the rock crusher after you mined out the basic ore, was that powered by a bunch of solar panels? What about when you shipped it around from site to site? So you've mined it out, then a truck ships it to the rock crusher, then another truck seals it up in barrels or whatever, and then they ship it, they smelt it, they have to smelt it down, and then they have to refine it, and then they have to forge it, and all of these other things. So where did the energy to create the sails come from? Or the ship? Or the things that are in the cargo hold? You see where I'm going with this. It's a complete grift. This is basically ESG for I guess, modern ships of the line. The idea is more ludicrous than if you were to simply erect pliable, by the way, wooden masts with canvas on them. Hey, at least the twine rope, that's biodegradable. You can compost it. It's renewable. It doesn't take much to grow hemp, by the way. Limitless, inexhaustible supply could be stored aboard, basically. The canvas for the sails, that's, again, it's biodegradable. Although I think they oil them, so it might take a little more processing. It's made out of plant products. That would be better. You can grow it on a farm. You can grow your wind power on a farm. Windmills. Fuck, why not just go back to making cloth-sailed windmills? Yeah, okay, you'd have to replace it once in a while. Which one is more expensive? A fire on an aluminum windmill, 300 feet tall, or on a cloth windmill? You could probably make them a lot bigger, badder, and more aerodynamic than the ones that they had, literally draining out half the Netherlands centuries ago. It'd be a lot more easily replaced. And it looks a lot better. It's better for the environment. This is a total grift. A small proportion of the ship's propulsion under the right weather conditions, assuming that the wind is right, depending on which direction it's going in, can be derived from sails that required an enormous amount of fossil fuel, especially, and probably energy from nuclear as well, to actually create. When they inevitably get dinged up over the 5 or 6 years they'll probably last in their service life, they'll be buried in a landfill or something. They won't even be able to recycle the material, potentially. So it's a bunch of bullshit. It's a bunch of bullshit. Literally, go back to use. If you're so concerned about the environment, you think the world's going to turn into Tatooine, convince people to build more ships of the line, and just use metal in the hulls and everything else is wood. Go back to wooden deck ships with masts and an emergency engine, just in case they need it. Don't worry. It can be electrically charged. Of course, you need a diesel generator or an onboard nuclear reactor to recharge it. Oh, Jesus. Jim Terpstra. Jill Biden chose to be a Biden. Hunter didn't. Ozzy's Robots. Prigozhin must be have been as bad as that dude in Utah. Yeah, exactly. Corporal Poon, been watching you for 7 years and still no good mic? My microphone does all right. It's kind of a yesteryear model at this point, though. I do need to upgrade. I was looking into that the other day, coincidentally. But, getting things shipped to the Netherlands isn't always the easiest. Nick Ray 47, Sticks, did you get my news tip on Twitter regarding Vivek taking Soros money, then trying to hide the truth about it? Yes, I believe I saw that. In fact, I don't think you're the only one who brought it up. Swamp Donkey 69 420. What do you think happens in Russia after what they did to Wagner? Possible civil war there? Nothing will happen. Absolutely, other than people be afraid to fuck with Putin. That was the whole point. Bayonne 201. Good morning from Gay, Stowe, Vermont. I bought a nice 1999 Camry on eBay with 81K to avoid the trap of a car loan. Hashtag Clank Nation. Hashtag F the Deep State. Interesting. Nice. Sigil Stone. I love playing Baldur's Gate 3 to watch a bear fuck a dragonborn. I play with one hand. Now begins my furry arc. Tomorrow I'm ordering a wolf and otter fursuit. Hail Satan. The Great Scalzini. Wind-powered ships, should we tell them the sail has already been invented? But it would be fun to see clippers, caravels, and pirate ships again. Yarg. Yeah, I mean, for local shipping, it would kind of make sense to go back to wind power, unless it's something that needs to be heavily refrigerated anyway or something like that. It's fine. For international shipping, you're going to need fossil fuel. It's just the long and short of it. It's just the truth. Mopey Hornet. Hey, Sticks, to follow up on Starfield, the libertarian faction is called the Free Star Collective. They are a confederation of 3 independent systems, space cowboy theme, and just want to farm and be left alone. Well, I'd probably want to conquest people, too, in all honesty. Cat is out there whining incessantly, by the way. Wasted Bonehead, Sticks, thoughts on zombie movies and media, if any. Careful, or I'll make a tweet reeing later because of necrophobia. I really like Evil Dead, although those are deadites, so they're not technically zombies. They're like possessed living people with demons inside of them, I guess. Yeah, I like zombie movies. I watch The Last Man on Earth with Vincent Price. That was a good movie. PW, too good to be true, but Vivek won the debate. Yes. President Irina Vladimirovna Putina. They'll have me sold if they actually go full wooden sailboats like the massive ones they made on the cusp of Atlantic steamers. Yeah, that's fine. They can do that if they want to be environmentally friendly. You can take a lot of wood, but, replacement parts are a lot cheaper, and trees are actually a renewable resource. You can always plant more of them. The NIMBYists don't want to plant trees, though. Next news story. It's quite clear to me that Glenn Youngkin is poised to run in 2028. I would be very, very surprised. Official Sticks prediction, Glenn Youngkin will be one of the people that runs for the GOP primary in that election, which will be non-incumbent, of course, because Trump, whether he wins or loses, he's not going to run again. I think Youngkin would be near the top of the stack as far as actually getting the nomination. I've got some reservations about him. Overall, though, he ticks most of the boxes and seems to be reasonable. He's certainly reasonably well-spoken. You could do worse, I think, than Glenn Youngkin 2028. I know I'm looking far forward in the future now. I'm pondering the orbs right now. And that's based on the way in which he interacts with things. This is the title of this article. Governor Youngkin fires back at school district defying policy on gender identity. Parents are in charge. Yes, the Virginia Department of Education being commanded by him to go after this district, actually. They're refusing to cooperate with regards to some of the policies in the actual state of Virginia. I like that. Prince William County Public Schools released a statement last week stating it would stick with an older policy that addresses the rights of transgender and gender nonconforming students because it is consistent with both federal and state anti-discrimination laws. Pro tip. You're a school. You don't get to interpret the law. A court does that. So this will probably end up in court litigated, and we'll see who prevails. Glenn Youngkin, though, is effectively walking the walk where Desantis is only talking the talk. Of course, he's currently busy being the governor of his state as opposed to primarily being busy on the campaign trail. That speaks volumes about the differential in their strategic intelligence. I never claimed that Ron DeSantis was a stupid dude. He's not. He's educated. He's a literal lawyer. He's intelligent. His strategic intelligence, though, is near zero. Meanwhile, Youngkin is very, very shrewd. I suppose that means maybe you have to worry more about Glenn Youngkin, actually, than Ron DeSantis. He's very shrewd, very strategic. he was handed his gubernatorial position mainly because of the self-sabotage of Dems, but look at what he's doing. He's taking the exact same basic issue, education, parental rights, and throwing it in their face over and over, knowing that's why I got elected. I'm giving them what they want. If you're going to run for the presidency, being from a state like Virginia that's almost a 50-50 in voting results for several elections is a real good position to be. I think that he hits that sweet spot, and I would be very, very surprised if he doesn't run in the future. Moby Hornet. If you want to conquer, the faction called the Crimson Fleet is a collective of pirate captains. Raid, baby, raid. Sounds better. Solid Zero. Hey, Sticks, can you shout out my Battlefield 2042 portal code? Code is ABE333, and it lets you play a Battle Royale mode. Interesting. I have absolutely no clue what that is, but yeah, you got a shout out anyway. There you are. Just in case someone thinks that Abe is spelled other than ABE. Magic GoPro. Superdelegates allow the Dems to swap Biden or Kamala easily. It won't be Biden. I still think it will be unless he croaks or something, but there is the distinct possibility, and there's also the possibility he croaks. Let's see. The Grizzly 617. Why is it that some lay liberals are so averse and adversarial to talking about the far left dragging their party further and further to collectivist extremism? The lay right doesn't have that issue. Yeah, that's because the paradigm shift has hit the Republicans much harder. Populism has become a norm within the party. On the other side, a lot of Democrats have their heads in the sand with regards to the rise of the left, because the left hasn't yet seized power there. They will eventually, though, unless they're stopped by a reversionist movement, something RFK style. Next news story. New Trump poll proves Obama and Clinton were right. The GOP base are deplorable, bitter clingers. This is from Salon. This is not the way, bro. This is not the way to appeal to MAGA voters and try to talk them down from destroying our democracy. If you want to stop Trump, insulting his fans, has it historically worked well? Has that worked well for Ron DeSantis recently, Hillary Clinton in 2016, most of the legacy media? Salon is just, they're going with what they can do. And here's the thing. Salon is 99% like Antifa read them. So they're just appeasing their base. The problem is, of course, Salon is a shrinking company for a reason, and being in that echo chamber, eventually you get outlefted by other groups that are even more woke, even more stupid, and you'll disappear. I am going to make a prediction. I don't think that Salon, as a media group at least, in the media sense, I don't think they'll be around in 5 years. I think at this rate, this is like the death spiral sort of article that a site writes in the last years of its existence, so I mean, pretty funny. Ozzy's Robots. I have 3 overseas trips planned over 12 months. If I knew they'd require masks, bullshit. Never would have scheduled them. Seems coordinated by globaloids. Yeah, they want you to suffer. They don't actually want people to see other cultures, especially out. The United States government doesn't want you to realize how non-woke most of the rest of the world is. Woke is a joke here in the Netherlands, and the Netherlands is supposedly a socialistic nation. Doc Holliday, wooden sail ships and Fred Flintstone cars. Hell yeah. Yeah, we'll get some rickshaws going there. That'll be a good time. Some canoeing, catamarans, all these manly things, and we carve them ourselves out of logs. It'd be pretty fun. Next and final news story. Please send no more super chats. I'll keep it a little bit short today because I woke up at like 4:30 in the fucking morning. Love my daughter, but her sleep schedule over the last couple of days leaves a little bit to be desired. I'm like, hey, next Father's Day, can I get 5 hours of sleep? Maybe. We'll see what happens. Georgia man arrested. Georgia man has joined Florida man and Vermont man in the annals of history with this one. Georgia man arrested after allegedly stealing porch from neighbor's property. Robin Swanger is facing a felony theft charge for stealing the full-sized 8x10 porch, Coweta County investigators said. He literally dragged away a dude's porch from his property. Investigators say Swanger passed no trespassing signs in the yard on his way to remove the wooden porch, which was left on the property when the house was taken away, the outlet reported. It's a full-size porch. So I guess the little trailer home was gone, but the porch remained there. It would be what goes onto a house for entrance and exit, investigator Chris Stapler told Fox 5. Very well constructed. maybe if it's tacked onto a trailer in a neighborhood where somebody is going to literally try to drag it off your property, it's probably not the best constructed porch, but we'll see. I like this. Some people may shrug their shoulders and say it's not a big deal, but when you take someone's property without consent and the value of this porch is $3,000, you can't just go and take stuff off people's property, Stapler said. Okay. I wouldn't give him a felony charge for this. He unsuccessfully attempted to requisition the porch. If I were the person whose property it was, I'd be laughing too hard to press charges and say, look, give him a nice plea. Do what they shouldn't have done with Hunter Biden and give him a sweetheart deal and make him do community service. Make him come mow my lawn for 100 hours or something like that. It would be funny as hell. You know, the dude just tried to steal your porch, is mowing your lawn, gardening the daisies or something like that. I just find this so funny. When I first saw the report, I expected it to be a person from Florida. I saw it on a different news site. It was like, man tries to steal porch off property. And I was like, ha ha ha, he tried to drag off a whole porch. I figured it'd be Florida man. Apparently, Georgia has now been infected by Floridians. Is he an import to the state from a little further away, a little further south? Probably. Parlock 480, what's next for right-wing politics if Democrats win? You regroup and you try again. Do me grunt, dead malls and derelict digs. Hey, Sticks, have any plans for a road trip in the future? On your own or with the kids, city or rural, US or Europe? Go somewhere and see the sights. I don't really like road trips. I only like driving locally and then to a restricted degree. I actually don't really hugely like driving, especially on European roads where I'm now familiar with the rules. I know how to drive, but it's more compact. Everything here is more urban, and I'm not used to driving in an urban environment. It's basically like Rutland at rush hour in off hours here. So, 0x, hey Sticks, wondering what you think of the Zoomers calling themselves neurodivergent. I find it a deeply disturbing trend. As someone with dyslexia, I find it cringe, and they use it as an excuse to be lazy and disgusting. Maybe I just became a boomer. I don't know. I think of it as slightly insulting towards people like me who were diagnosed with actual mental illnesses. I'm not neurodivergent. Supposedly, I've just got oppositional defiant disorder, ADHD, or anything else under the sun, depending on which person diagnosed me at the time as a kid. I was a Ritalin kid. I don't consider myself neurodivergent just because some retard told me that I had a mental illness or was special or whatever they're calling it today. Neurodivergent, my ass. Some people just have mental problems. And by the way, you're using again, with the term mental illness, you're grouping disparate things together. A person who has constant delusions and violent ideations and therefore is neurodivergent is not the same as someone with seasonal affective disorder. They're not the same thing. They're not in the same ballpark. I'm writing a little book actually on basically this subject now. Trip boom, those damn riggers. The rigging of the ship should be made out of hemp twine. Sigil Stone, Georgia man taking porch pirate to a whole new level. Yeah, and follow up, it'd be hilarious if he took the porch but left the Amazon package. That would be fucking funny. Jesus. Yeah, Amazon packages being stolen is a long-term meme. Anyway, I'm going to go offline because I have things to do mainly. Also, again, I'm a little bit tired. I'm a little bit low energy. I know right now. It's just, again, 4:30 in the morning. At 6 o'clock, I can deal with. 4:30, it's like by this time of day, I'm already starting to pass out, and I still have to cook dinner, although we've got something really yummy. Beet rucola goat cheese salad, of course, with a nice citrus dressing, and then some steak. Yes, marinated in the fridge to perfection and stir-fried. To Weld Ambassadeur. Hey, Sticks, check out J. Ishiro Finney, author and YouTuber's book called Boobs of Steel. That sounds interesting. But yeah, I'll go offline now. I've got to go and squish up that meat and make sure that it's marinating properly. Also, it's hot as fuck. That's about all. Peace out.